Hello, welcome to Write with Meribeth, Deen, and TinaO. I'm from TinaO Life. Every week, Meribeth and I talk about writing and the different ways that we approach writing and our work together, helping you write your core story, bringing your communication from the core out onto the page. And today we are talking about, hold that up, the power of myth. And because of that, Meribeth decided to...
I brought my wild hair. We're talking about women who run with wolves. It's all about harnessing your wild woman power. But really, this book is a whole bunch of great myths and analysis of them, which is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. So Meribeth read a piece that I wrote that I'm not sharing with you because it's actually a personal piece. I may share it later, but not right now. I wrote it for me. And I mentioned this book.
Well, you mentioned a specific myth in this book, and you relate it to your own life right now, and how it tells your story. Your story is in this myth, and it really, really hit me hard because I think that is the key. Well, not the key to a great story, but I think in myths we find our own stories. These stories that are sometimes thousands of years old. We find ourselves in them.
I remember in various stages of high school English, you probably do too, studying myths. In fact, I remember elementary school, but it was more about Greek mythology. I was really into Greek mythology. And I think there's something that happens in myths. It doesn't matter how old you are, how much life experience you have, because myths do touch on that universal, whether it's universal love, universal pain, universal worry, universal themes, that it can hook us.
Okay, I just thought of one.
Okay.
I was reading something about the Icarus myth. So this is the boy who flies too close to the sun. And I didn't know this before, but I guess Icarus and his dad had been in prison. And so his dad created these wings for him so that he could escape. Now, I was thinking that it would, you can look at that one from so many different perspectives. Like, we don't actually often hear much from the dad. Like, did the dad know his son had these tendencies?
Yeah.
And maybe there was a reason from the kid's point of view why he did what he did. Either way, it's universal, right? Like we all, I feel like that one is definitely one that speaks to me when I think about youth.
So what about it speaks to you? What hooks you?
It's rebellion.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Right, because he flies too close to the sun.
It's rebellion, it's youthful hubris and arrogance, thinking, Dad doesn't know what he's talking about.
Right?
I'm gonna be fine. Don't worry about it. Right?
Yes. And I love that word arrogance, because it's a universal word for like the various stages of life. That's one of those words, and that's one of those themes that really illustrates that it doesn't matter the age of your reader or where that, in the core story piece where I talk about your impactful where, like where, or impactful when, but that specific where, like where are people in their life and when are they in their life when they need your book. And when we can pull in the pieces that are found in mythology, those things cut through the noise of your niche market. You don't even have to worry about niche. Everyone is your niche.
That story, I've heard people say adolescence is an invention of the post-war years.
Oh,
but
really?
I think that story proves us wrong.
Absolutely.
On that one, right?
Yeah, that's interesting. Adolescence is a result of the post-war years. Wow.
Because kids used to just grow up, right?
Oh, right. Yeah, right. That's interesting, though. But still, there is that piece, right? I can't remember. Oh, I'm not going to just blow this. So anyway, there's the whole study about the 20-year-old brain, and that the 20-year-olds and teenagers, I think it's a David Suzuki report, and that our brains are specifically wired that way to be not ready, fully developed yet, because that's the stage where we practice our chutzpah, where we practice what it feels like to risk, to do ridiculously dangerous things, to learn, but also to build that muscle of confidence.
Well, and to change the world.
And to change the world. Yeah, absolutely. And the body can, anyway, we're on a whole other conversation
whole
now.
Other conversation.
But
should we talk about Bluebeard? Because that's
Let's talk about
really
Bluebeard.
Good one. So do you want to just briefly
Sure.
explain Bluebeard? It's a pretty cool story.
It's a cool story. And
especially for women.
Yeah, yeah. And I'll connect it to why I pulled that out. And that's not in the piece I just wrote. The piece I just wrote, I actually referenced Skeleton Woman, which talks about the life, death, life cycle. But I wrote another piece when I was finished treatment for cancer 2 years ago. And I was really recognizing that I can't go back to my old life. And the theme I was playing with was naivete. I can't go back to the naive woman who thinks she can walk down a dark alley and be just fine, even though her instincts say, get the hell out of Dodge, don't walk down that alley. And that was more connected to the cancer story of certain foods that I tell myself I can eat, or things that I do or don't do. And I naively tell myself, oh, I'm bigger than that, I'm better than that. And in Bluebeard, it's just the story of this woman, young woman, naive, right? The naive woman. Yeah. And she falls in love, not because she falls in love because this guy is great, but there's this Bluebeard, dangerous dude. And we all know the dangerous dude thing. The bad boy that women get pulled into, that naive woman thing. And so she marries Bluebeard, and he takes her, and her sister knows this guy's a bad dude. And he takes her to the castle, right? And everybody knows this guy's a bad dude, but she naively follows him and falls into his big man thing. And they go to the castle, and he gives her a key, a skeleton key. And he says, never open this door. He shows this door, and he says, never open this door. And so, of course, it's a setup. We all know. What does she do? She sits with the key. Should I open the door? I want to open the door. What's behind the door? He's not that bad. It can't be that dangerous.
I can just peek in there.
I'll just peek, right? How bad can it be?
He will never know.
He'll never know, and maybe I'm stronger than he thinks. Yeah. Maybe it's not that bad. So, of course, she opens the door, and there's all these dead bodies of women before her who had also opened the door. And I think he comes back, and they have this big fight, and she chops off his beard, and I think it's her sister, and who saves her, and they run off. And
did you mention it was full of dead bodies and blood?
Yeah, all the bodies of the women right before. And I might be messing up the ending because it's not actually about the ending and the cutting off of the beard. It's about the naive woman who doesn't listen to her instincts. And the whole myth is about that rite of passage, moving from naive to wise, naivete to wisdom. And I don't know how old that myth is, but it sure ain't just like 50 years old. And you know what I'm saying? And there's the piece there that we got into the conversation about.
Which there are so many different ways that you can look at it, and there are different reasons why it might resonate with someone. Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe one person resonates with feels a connection to that story because they're the sister, and they're sitting there watching someone walk down a path that they know is not cool. But what can you do about that other than be there when they need you to? Which is the hardest thing. We all know that.
Yeah.
Or maybe you're that little sister who's like fighting your own instinct. And what does that look like? Mm-hmm. Is it you're questioning your own instinct, you don't believe it? Or is it a situation where you actively suppress it and rationalize your way out of it? Mm-hmm. So I think that within that one story, there are all these layers, all these complexities, all these different ways that they connect to people that resonate sort of universally and through time, and it's pretty cool.
Well, I think one of the beautiful things about myth is it gives us as writers permission to write, because we recognize that everything's already been said before. There's nothing original.
And that's okay.
And that's okay, right? And so if you're sitting here wondering, who's going to listen to me? What do I have to say? What is relevant today? If you're not sure what's relevant, go to the land of myth. Because in the world of myth, all of those universal themes that keep us up at night, that follow us in dark corners of our life, they're all found in myth. And I can guarantee you in your life's passage, wherever you may be, there will be a myth that will resonate for you. And so you can always start there.
Yeah. Try and find the story that you like, the one that speaks to you, the one that you feel, I'm a character in this myth, and rewrite it. What would your story look like?
Yeah.
Or what would that myth look like if it was happening in your own life?
Yeah.
I don't know, just a fun.
Yeah, because we all need to start somewhere. That's Meribeth's thing, right? Start somewhere, and you can't mess it up. So if you have joined into our masterclass that we've done before, we talk about healthy procrastination. And if you're in a place where you need some healthy procrastination, this is a great book for you.
Or just go online and look up some myths.
Yeah, or just go online and look up some myths.
Or go into the kids' book section or look at the myths and fairy tales.
Yeah.
I really like the dark ones.
Oh, the fairy tales are good too. Like really, if you notice that we just don't read that stuff to our kids anymore. Grimm's, like, they're juicy.
Although some of them, like Rapunzel.
I know, pretty
like,
nasty.
Really?
That's so true. So this is Meribeth, Deen, and TinaO. TinaO Life here. We are your helpers to get your book written.
And Tina, we're going to do a boot camp this weekend, right?
We're going to do a boot camp this weekend. A little different. We have a core story boot camp that's specific to like getting the whole core piece. But every month we do a weekend focus. And this particular month we're doing sentences that slay. And what that means is these are sentences you just can't get away from your core. As soon as you start writing from that sentence, you are immediately connected to your core story. So we'll be doing that in the Core Story Club this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 4 days. So if that sounds like something you'd like to take part in, we will put the link here and you can just join the Core Story Club. Okay? We have a lot of fun in there. We talk about story in there. And this is all about making sure that your communication is from the core. So you can cut through the noise of clever, cut through the noise of...
And your story can land.
Yeah, and your story can land. All right, we'll see you in the Core Story Club.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Okay, smile, we're not over yet, just so you know. I have to end the live broadcast.